YouTube going so I can keep up.
Hello, everybody. It's another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode
Hey, y'all.
20, code November, India. Another episode of Comics Della Morte. Ooh, heard it right there.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, my internet connection is spotty because I'm in Maine and it snowed bundles
A lot of
today. So, be patient with me if I'm cutting in and out, but I'll try to jump back on if I get too bad. I won't hold y'all up though.
All right. And as always, I am Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics, and my co-host, Jason Alexander, Fogbreaker Studios.
Hey, brother.
And the book is Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, created by Gary Hodges. I think that's his last name. But yeah, just amazing work. And I'm going to leave it up to Jason to talk about it in the beginning because, I know he could give a lot. So, and I'm just gonna let everyone say.
All right. Hey, everybody in the chat. What's going on, everybody? All right. So, Dinosaurs versus Marsbots is this really cool book that's basically about, I don't know, it is kind of like feels like a Men in Black story. It's like a jazz solo of a just a great black and white story, man. Like, again, you guys, do we have the link in the chat for the book? I don't really want to get.
I'll have to edit it to put in there, but yeah.
Okay, we'll get the link in the chat, guys. But man, this book it's a must get. You can follow Gary at Instagram at Dinosaurs versus Marsbots and on Facebook, Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. He is a great follow on Instagram. Like, since I started following him, he started following us not too long ago, based on the videos. But looking at his
in the
stuff,
comments while watching us live.
Yeah,
so thank you for that.
I was like, this is a book. I knew it was a book that I've been wanting to get, and it's like to be able to test drive it like in a review format. It's great because you get to think about it you get to read it in a different light than how you would normally read it. And this book has very, very few holes. It's such a good story. I'll talk about the art in a second, but I used to read this book called Above Top Secret. Have you ever heard of that book, Ronnie? I think it was called Above Top Secret. It was a blue book, and it was thick, and all it was these ultra classified FBI and CIA documents about UFOs, and it was like there were some pictures of UFOs. You have to really, really be dedicated to reading about UFOs to appreciate those like documents. And having never talked to Gary about it, I guess we'll talk about it with him when we towards the end of our reviews. But he has to have read through those same things that I have, because this book feels like that, and it starts with these classified documents, and it's even on that like copy and copy and copy recopied filter. It looks great. So but if you read enough of these, like, you can really start to feel your mind letting go and to like follow him into like reading this stuff how I used to read it, and you start to visualize like what these detectives must have gone through, like as a storyteller. Start to realize like these are like things that people experienced that they came back and wrote about, and it transitions into that like really deep black and white, and it's heavy dialogue. It hits the mark for what this book is. I totally get it, and I love it. I love it. It's such a good book. Just listening to the detectives banter in the car.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, very, very Tarantino.
I just love, like you were saying here, with the whole articles like classified, and you see some of the words black out, like, okay, this was probably something that, you know, you would see people who are trying to give out UFO information, and
Yeah.
some of the information is like blacked out and not all there because they're trying to just hide keywords that, you know, people might pick up. Okay, if this is said, then this is not going to be explored to the
You're
community where
exactly
they
right.
need to.
Right. Like you nailed it. Like that's how you used to read that stuff. Like it's
Mhm.
in a book, so it was always accessible. But I always felt like I was the person that was going to put some piece together from these documents that nobody had ever seen before. And it's like you pour yourself into reading over this stuff, and it's so cool that it's this kind of book. Like
Yeah.
it's such a fun book, man. Like straight up, like it's like Law and Order, like like Galactic Division, because it
Yeah.
is like X-Files, but
Mhm.
it's there's something that's just pleasantly different about it. I love it, man.
And just start off with not just the classified, but Gary, if you're going to watch this or you pop in really soon, you do amazing designs with vehicles. Like, that's a
These
beautiful car,
vehicles are banging. I would hang that on my wall. Like
right?
that's an awesome vehicle. Like
Mhm.
the black and white artists that we've done, like it seems like most of our books that we've done, you know, with
A
the
black and
exception of
white.
a hand of like two, are like black and white, and
Hmm.
it's the way. It's the way that it's hard through and through, man. Like,
Oh, yeah, of
and it's
course.
like this is like sci-fi detective horror, but it is awesome, and so
Yeah,
many of those pages to be devoted to a conversation in a car, and it is so entertaining because it's it's spot on dialogue, but also the artwork is there's no way to look away from it.
hmm.
It's so different. Like it's
Well, yeah,
very
because, like,
different style.
hey, look who it is.
Hey, all right, okay. We'll glaze it real nice. You got it.
Gary, just for the start off, we were saying earlier, we really love your car designs.
Yeah,
Like,
man, you can draw
you,
some cars.
mhm,
Yeah,
really good.
great stuff. Great stuff, man. So yeah,
And
we were talking
go
how the
ahead.
artwork is so different in this book. Like you were getting ready to say something about it, but it's
I,
such cool artwork. I
I love the
love the
classified
lack of
files.
shading. Yeah,
Hmm.
man, it's like just these like very stark, like I don't know. My eyes follow it very well. It really does. It hits the mark, man. Like, and it all feels real. Like it feels like a really high end storyboard.
Oh, he's breaking up. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Am I good now? Okay. Sorry,
Yeah, you're good
guys.
now.
Like I said, y'all bear with me. It's snowing up here. Or it was snowing. It's stopped now, but everything is covered in snow because it's snowing.
But yeah, it's like, I love the fact is that, you know, instead of just having the dialogue, he decided to take like these clip pictures that you would see in, like, you know, classified files of the whole, like, animal massacre sightings, the UFO sightings. I mean, I could just imagine how fun it was sitting down to pretty much design this stuff and really go out there. It's like making it a sci-fi horror book.
You can feel. Forgive me if I sound silly, but I appreciate the artwork in this book.
Hmm.
It's this cool way that you can establish where you are with just telling the story, man. Like you can feel how warm that car must be. Like if
Yeah.
you were sitting in the back seat of that car, like you can
Hmm.
feel how it would be like right there towing on the line of uncomfortable. Because I'm sure they're leather seats.
And
Just
I love how, since it takes place in the 70s, he definitely got those 70s mustaches.
yeah, it's such an awesome
Mhm.
mustache.
Yeah,
And
right.
like I don't know, man. it's like this is what you see when you read those documents. That's all I got. That's all I can say. It's like it's the same black and white as reading over letters, but it's like it's how writing melts into artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I think it's such an awesome book. And I remember we were talking about last week before we got online.
I was going to say with Gary's stuff, I do have in the description, his Instagram, his Facebook, and I believe his Etsy account where you could buy the books. So
guys, go get this book. Like this book deserves to exist in all manners of consciousness. And it's like everybody deserves to see this book. Such an awesome book. Like very, very grateful to be able to review this book, Gary. Thank you. Such an awesome book. And I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, exactly. And I love this the sign, "Welcome to Wilcox." I mean, when you see that, it's like, man, that's a country sign that you would see out in the middle of nowhere. It's like you see
been down those roads before.
Exactly. You see most city billboard signs like "Welcome to this," "Welcome that." They're all like, all plain. But when you get into a small country town, you hit something unique because they go far out with like welcoming everyone. So that was cool just to see that little sign.
Yeah, it's there's homework. Like this is the cool part about like writing a cool story and then doing the homework to do it justice. Like pretty cool. I didn't want to get too far ahead, but like there are just a handful of pictures that I just love in this book, man. The car is good. I'll show you the first one that I really, really like. And again, like I love the story. I don't want to dive bomb the story because y'all need to go buy this book. But as they're going through this car ride and you get to the page where you see the speedometer on the car, can you scroll down? It's marked page 6. But just a panel that's like predominantly black is so striking against right there. It's like that bottom panel is so striking against the rest of the page being so white. It's just like little things like that pull your eye back to the story. It's like good read, visually stunning. So just my kind of book, Gary. Like it's everything that I used to love as a kid about reading UFO books and like all the different documents that I read and all the early websites that I used to go to. Like this, like if you were shooting at those markers, like you nailed them. It's a great book.
And also going back to the character design, I just love how like you would look at these guys and think of them as like 1970s cops.
Yep.
They have the ones wearing the sunglasses and like I said, the ones wearing the mustache, 2 different distinct designs, but you could tell this is more of a different timeline because, they don't really dress up like that anymore. And it kind of has like almost like the Men in Black element to it. It's like, okay, they're going to a classified information area. And it's just so nostalgic.
Yeah, it's that Starsky and Hutch. It's that Starsky and Hutch buddy cop, but set in that 70s period.
Right.
To a T. Like it hits everything. If this was on TV like Man X or Dragnet or any of those shows used to come on, it would fit right in. It's everything that they were. So I appreciate the homework. Like I see it. I see the homework and I appreciate it. It's awesome.
Oh, you don't see the Etsy? Okay, I'll have to put that in there. Gotcha. I thought I did. But I know if you click onto his Instagram, he does have a link tree, and that link tree will take you to his Etsy shop.
Yeah, and we'll get it in the description of there before while we put the video up. So
Yeah,
It'll
but
be there for everybody.
I know for a fact his Instagram, his Facebook, and his YouTube channel is up. So go check that out.
Gary, I
Subscribe
can
to all
see it.
his stuff.
Gary, I can see it. And to be honest, it's the least favorite. It's my least favorite thing to do with writing because I just want to write. But it should be better. It can be better, and it's so much better when you do the homework. And you did a lot of homework. I see it.
Yeah, exactly.
So fantastic, man.
That's the thing about like being an artist and a writer for your own stories. Like you have to, when you're writing out the story, you're also thinking about how to go about drawing it yourself instead of just giving it to the artist himself to deal with that. So yeah, it's a big ball field, and especially when you're doing like almost a book like this that's like so many pages long. Yeah.
This is
I see the work, and congratulations.
Yeah. This is a symphony of being able to draw exactly what you see in your mind's eye. Like this is like full bar signal service between your brain and your writing and your pen because it's all there. It's a great job. Yeah. Like such a fun book.
And
but I would find this book at any comic book store, library, anywhere that there was a book, and this would be a book that I would sit down and pull apart 3 or 4 times. Really, really good.
And
it's my genre.
Yeah.
It's just my genre.
And I thought it was funny, Gary, for you to put your likeness right here. Like I noticed that in a heart, like I seen Gary on the Artcasters. I know what he looks like, and that's you right there. So that was a little funny to see that.
So. That's not those are two. That's not easy panels to draw, and they look like portraits. Fantastic, like it's very
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
No, but yeah, the panel shot of like having the car in the mirror background or the mirror. Yeah, that's a really nice shot. That's wow.
Really cool. So,
and then having 2 different car designs here, you could tell they're both different models. It's like most people, if they're going to draw a car, half the time they just draw the same car but in a different shade of color. So, awesome tackling that.
Yeah, this is it's a cool book, guys. Like you gotta check it out. Like this is just such a good book. Like the writing works with it works that it's dialogue heavy on these pages because the black and white art, it feels more real than color if it's done right. And there's a lot of different ways to do it right. Like this is not the only way to do it right, but this is a really cool, really unique way that black and white can be done. Like you think grayscale when you think black and white, but there's no grayscale. It's black and it's white. And I'm not trying to channel Michael Jackson, but it's great. I love it.
And I just love this line here. A world without flattery or hollow promises or bluffs. In 48 hours, you'll be trading meat for sex. I thought that was funny.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard not to like go into detail because like this is pretty much a car ride, and it's just a great conversation that these guys are having, and it pretty much lays out the whole story. And that's why it's just important to go and support Gary and just pick this up because it's just really great dialogue. I can't say more enough about that.
It's a unique approach to introducing your world because we see it like with Discovery Channel, and forgive me for rambling, but you see it with like Discovery Channel or any channel. Like we always gravitate to these destination shows, and we gravitate to those shows because it feels like you're not just seeing the pictures of a place. Like you get to know what the place is like. the best way to get to know what a place is like is by being with people who know it. So yeah, you don't necessarily see like locations and things like that, but no, you're on a car ride somewhere with these two guys who know enough to hold a conversation. Yeah, because it's a job at a certain level. It's a job, and so this is a cool story. I always tell my wife this story, but when I used to work at a jewelry store when I moved back to Maine, I worked at a jewelry store for a while, and at the end of the day, when you're cleaning up, like you got your hands on like thousands, like $20,000 Tupperwares, and you're putting them in a safe. And I remember being like super careful with every single item that I picked up. And my manager was like, one day, Jason, when you do this long enough, you're just going to scrape that stuff into the Tupperware because it's just rocks and metal. And it's like, it's not, because like one item could have changed, the value of it could have changed my whole world. But you do a job for so long, you rationalize things that most of us would marvel at. Like, look at what they're getting. Look at what this all leads to. It's just awesome. Like that first scene and that first page. Like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. This book is really good, man. Like,
it's good, man. I mean, and Gary, just a heads up, I was talking to Jason about it. Your book is good enough that we're going to break your book up in half. So everyone, we're not going to review the whole book. We're going to stop at one point and pick it up after Christmas, because this book, just like other books, deserves a part 1, a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4. And he sent us 2 books. So we're going to be talking about his books for a while on the show because it deserves the love.
Yeah, it deserves attention. Like, but there's so much that I want to say about, like, as I'm going through these pages, but I appreciate the craft of a conversation and not being afraid, because so many times people will be like, you got to keep a word bubble to X amount of words. No, you don't.
It's basically one of those things like me and you, we have read the early horror comics back in the 50s. Those were very heavy dialogue, and a lot of comics now don't want to get into that like realm. They want to just keep it action oriented and, don't focus on people having a conversation. I'm like, sometimes you need to show how a person started getting in a fist fight because it led to this, and this,
Sure.
Maybe sometimes you need to have people talk about, hey, what do you want to have for breakfast today, before they go in and start, kicking villains' butts. So,
Yeah. As somebody who's like really like I'm very quickly enjoying the label of a horror creator, because it's so, you have to make somebody appreciate something.
Got Squashy Comics in the
what's up, Squashy? It's something to, I don't even really know how to put it into words, but you got this whole, what was I saying? I'm sorry. Doggone Squatchy, like, I love your icon in it. You had to. You had to invest in these guys, because this is the world. Like, this book, like, took me down memory lane of just thinking of how important it is, like, just to be in a moment. Like, I love Parking Wars, like, but I would never want to be a parking meter attendant. But I'll watch it on TV. So, but you invest in the characters of like, who would do this? Like, who would be a man in black? Why would you care more than saying, just show me the UFO? Like, what would you care about? Like, invest in these guys. And it's like, it even gets to the point like where they share a laugh in the story. Like, it's such this flat, wild conversation.
Yeah, just this conversation, like while we're carrying on and you see like this dialogue here, I mean, that's just some really great dialogue, I
love talking with you, Ronnie, because this is pretty much how we talk.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a whole other universe where these guys are essentially monster hunters.
Yeah, and
so.
And not like reading everything off, but he's like pretty much telling him, it's like, so sure, that makes us liars, but it's the lie that would have us to tell, because it's the one thing that keeps everything moving, and that's pretty much what the Men in Black, or like these people who keep everything secret, is like, we need to make sure that everybody else has a life that could focus on, like how he puts as baseball and all this stuff, because if people focus on the real truths that are out there, they go crazy. I mean, we've seen it in real society. Once you say, "Oh, this could cause cancer," everyone starts to stop doing this. It's like one day I heard, "Oh, you drink water from the water hose, you get cancer." I'm like, I did that for a long time as a kid. Now I'm not going to have like kids drink water from a water hose because one person says it could cause cancer now. Funny stuff.
That was always my biggest mistake growing up in Gastonia, North Carolina. Because if you're not patient enough to get that hot water out of that hose, boy, you will burn your mouth. It's like drinking a hot, gross coffee. So you gotta know how to drink out of a water hose. It's not for everybody. Would not advise. But just like, you have to invest in these characters, man. Like, and this conversation is a lot like yours and ours right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I enjoy this is what you and I would talk about. This is what you and I talk about for about 20 minutes before we start. Like, there's really no difference, guys. So I'm sorry. Like, this is, you guys see and you get to hear whatever I say, because I appreciate the labor that goes into creating something like this. Like, and it all seems like it just flies together.
And for a person like me, I'm gonna go back to some of the pages, because I, as an artist who likes background as well, like I like the simplicity of like the bush here and like the truck. You didn't have to go into great detail. You just made a couple lines and shading and made the outline of the image. So, I really like that, because sometimes you don't have to have a lot of detail in the backgrounds to tell what's going on and what type of atmosphere you're around.
You know what's crazy about this book and how it's a good period book? Because you would never draw a character without a seatbelt on. But in 75, it was there for almost decoration. I remember like in the early 80s, my parents not really wearing, like, it was never a thing to wear a seatbelt. And so it's like, to see that is making sure that you don't have an airplane fly by in the background of a caveman movie. It's just like, it's the attention to detail that separates the stories. Like, everybody can tell an awesome story, because most stories are great, but it's the little things done by people that know how to do it. Yeah, that's all you need. Like exactly. I said earlier, I don't know if you were here when I said it, Gary, but I said I can tell that if I was sitting in the back seat of that car, how hot it would be, because it's like I see that all the seats are leather. Though that car is all steel. It's hot outside. You can see the sun off the guy's sunglasses. And it's not a winter sun. It's the sun. It's Florida
sun. It's Florida sun.
It's the sun. Like, it's all the things that the sun does. And it don't need to be yellow. It's hot in this car.
It's hot sun where it's like, it's Christmas down here in Florida and it's 85 degrees.
Plus the AC. Yes. Yep, exactly. You got to wear a suit coat too. Hey, not to make it about me, but I did a lot of stupid stuff in a suit coat because I was a Jehovah's Witness. So it's like, to be hot in a car with no seatbelt. I mean, with a suit coat on and no air conditioner, and you got to drive or you got to ride. It's not
like
pleasant.
you gotta have the windows open, and you're getting air blown in your face, but it's hot air. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes the conversation is a diversion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is why these guys talk, because it's one more thing that you don't have to do. Because you can even see one of the guys like grabbing his neck because it's not pain, but it's so hot.
It's
Like
sweat.
you have to like comfort. You got to comfort yourself sometimes, like, just to like get through it. Like okay, I can still feel I'm not outside my body yet, but no. This book sends a lot of signals into the brain, and then I think that's what you want. Like
I love their facial expressions right here, especially the driver.
Yeah.
I mean, I always love it when you have such a deep facial expression, but you can't see their whole face. Like you can't see his eyes under those glasses, but you could tell he's like, oh crap, not again. You know.
I tell you what.
Yeah, it's just really great.
To see this picture is a normal picture, except for that smoking hole on the side of the building. And in that moment, I cannot imagine with the conversation they've been having, like what can be on the other side of that hole. Like this is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Like this is Pulp Fiction. You like now it becomes something. It's like the story is leveled up. Like my interest is peaked now because these guys who have talked the entire time are speechless.
Yeah.
And this is why. Like,
and you see a UFO there. And besides the UFO, again, I'm a person that loves scenery. I love designing houses besides characters, and I just love the layout of the house. Like you could have gone with like a simple one dimension. You went with almost like a 3D, pretty much a 2D dimension house here, and I love it. Great work.
You know what it is? It's that lattice work. And you know, I'm not sure where you guys have seen it, but I'm sure you've seen it. But it's like this again transports me now with the heat, and now I feel like this could be any house in North Carolina around where I grew up. Like with the lattice work that comes under the crawl space of the house, like. This book is A-okay in my book, man. Like this is a summertime UFO story. I'll take it. Like, bring it.
And just now here they're freaking out, and they're like, "What was the?" Or I'll have to get to. It's like they're pretty much trying to like tell backup. You know, what's the code for citizen contact? And it's like November, India. I'm like, that is the pretty much the episode I had to call it, because that's pretty much what happens in this book. Once we end it, is that now you have contact with the UFO and humans, and you know, it's awesome. Because sometimes when I sit down and I'm reading the book, I have to like find what I want to call the episode. And sometimes certain words that are in the book, I'm like, okay, that'd be a good word to use to call the episode. And yeah, I had to use that code name because I thought it was cool. I liked it.
So here's a really cool transition, because it's like when they like fall back into speaking in phonetic code, you go through like, this was like Law and Order, but now it's like, now it becomes an episode of Cops. It's like the speed picks up again, right? Like just in like a page and a half, it's like you can tell like the intensity is ramped up. Like now it's like, now we know that this is what these guys say they do, but here's now they're going to work. Like now this is why they have time to talk, because when it's not time to talk, it ramps up. And it's not so different that they all got bazooka, you know, space bazookas, or they got like these super ultra ultimate alien weapons. They're just guys with a job that happen to, you know, look for aliens. And it's like when they find it, and even they can't understand why a scene looks like it does when they show up. Now you know, like now it's going down.
Yeah. And and this is when we start getting from like the vegetables to the meat, where the horror starts picking up. And I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So now, So now we're just having more dialogue, and they're trying to decide what to do. And just first off, before we get into the action, I just love this right panel here where the guy's talking in the walkie-talkie, and you see the reflection of the sun, the light hitting his sunglasses. Just a really good panel. I mean, really detailed. I like that.
It keeps you in that universe. Like, it would be easy with this much dialogue to like let you forget where you are, because it's enough to read for you not to really need a lot of visuals. But the visuals in this story are so good and functional. Like, it's a nice two-prong attack. Like, you like in this page right here, you can feel where it would be a little bit cooler, and the tops of their heads would notice that coolness from the darkness, while their backs would still have that heat on them. Like, it's just in these pages, like as the dialogue gets less and less, it's like it's wants you to follow something, and then we get like my favorite page, but y'all know me. Like, I'm becoming
right there. That I had to use that for the thumbnail because that's a perfect shot to show like, okay, this isn't no ET stuff. This alien is shot dead, and it's like, okay,
it's a crime scene. Yeah, like
exactly.
Now it's both. Like, here's what it would be like in real life. Remember, did you ever watch Alien Nation?
Oh, of course, yeah.
See, like it's like that. It's like, yes, aliens are real, but some of them like Milwaukee's Best, and some of them commit crimes, and some of them are decent folks, and some of them are police officers. Like, this world is the same. It just has aliens in it, and it's like that's why these guys can just show up. They don't have to put on an astronaut suit to fight these aliens. This is, yes, Squatchy, I 1000% agree with you. This book is fantastic, and you will have a better catalog of books for owning this book. 100%.
And I love just the facial expressions here. It's like slowly like, okay, normal to like, oh crap, because they're like, oh no, they killed it. Why would they kill it? And then you see why. And before we get to the image, just really great eye expression here. I really love it. And now,
right, because if you looked at that picture, you would say, oh, what did I see? Okay.
Right there. Like, so, that's awesome.
Gary has let me read this book. He is not expecting or anticipating us to. He couldn't have known that I was like a UFO guy, but this panel right here, there's a sequence of pages that as a writer like make me giddy. And a lot of it goes back to a lot of the things that I love about storytelling in general, some of it pertaining to professional wrestling. It's like sometimes you see the table come out and you get so hyped up and waiting for the table that once the action goes away from the table, you forget about it. And then you, at the last minute, when somebody crashes through it, you remember how much you wanted to see somebody crash into it a long time ago, but you're so glad you had to wait for it. And I love the panel with the hole in the side of the house. So much so that I barely even noticed the UFO in the background. Like, everything for me is how in the world did this perfect round hot hole get in this house? But as you go through these next couple pages, there's so much information that you forget that you really wanted to know how that hole got in that house. And then when you see the alien that's dead in the front room of the house, now your attention is on what's happening with that. And then you remember why you wanted to know so much, why there was a hole in the side of his house from the beginning.
And I have to say, as from an artist perspective, I love the way you position the body parts, like the hands and with the legs, how like one's prop up and everything. It's like, okay, I could have just had the body parts like laying down in a normal pose. It's like I wanted to show this corpse in a dramatic pose, and it's a really nice pose.
But if it wasn't for the background, if I saw these parts, I would say this person was blown apart.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no question. But now with the background, it's like, oh my God, this person was blown apart.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. Like, that's the difference. That's the difference between, hitting that double that bounces over the fence and trotting the second base, and then like crushing a home run and like getting around all the bases. Like,
yeah, and that's definitely the thing with horror comics as we've been reviewing and we're writing and drawing. It's like, sure, superhero comics have to have them, but like with horror, you need a scene like this and you need to like sell it. It's like, okay, you need to like really think about how a body would be positioned if it was blown apart, because it's not going to have like two flat legs. No, it's going to be different. So you're going to have to really do your design and try to sell it to the audience. So
I tell you what, I did not like Hostel when I saw it, but I love Seven. And I think that the difference between the two is having a story to go along with the visual. I felt like Hostel was just like shock horror, like intense scene after intense scene after intense scene after intense scene. But Seven was, there are some times where I'm like, I probably shouldn't watch Seven right now, because it's like, and this is what that book does. Like, this is that moment. Yes, Hostel was snuff, but Seven, I get you. I would, in a world with no COVID, I would shake your hand and we would understand that we were on common ground.
Exactly.
I appreciate your hustle, and I appreciate that you can tell a story. Like, look at that contrast of the black and white here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then like with the whole Seven thing, people need to go watch that movie because it's a great movie. But but like you said, just the way he broke it up, it's like, even with the image before, where you see like, okay, the blood on the carpet's white, but then the blood on the wall's black. It's, when you're making black and white comics, especially for like horror comics, you really have to decide on what you want to do for what color, because you don't have a big color palette in the beginning to start with. So it's just great to take like black and white or even grays and find ways to play around with it and make it look amazing, and sometimes even better than color comics, because you could do so much with black and white than you could ever think of.
I would never need to see anything in this book in color. I think that this book is very upper level. A lot of it for me would be, like I said, it's great subject matter for me.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
When I wasn't allowed to dip into horror, and it wouldn't have been really tolerated to see horror in my bedroom. Nobody really cared about UFO books, and so it was like, I always read UFO stuff, and like, there's a pathway that if I had wanted to tell a UFO story, this would have been like, if this was what I landed on, I would have been totally happy. Like, this is it, man. Like, it's a really
exactly. Like, I mean, we have read some sci-fi horror comics in the past videos, but definitely for any readers out there, and we're not saying this because you're just here, Gary, you guys need to pick this up if you definitely love sci-fi horror, because just me reading just what I've read so far, I could definitely say that this is like going to probably be like one of the best books that we reviewed besides like the ones we covered.
Yep. As far as since we're just starting, I will say as far as like introducing somebody to a world and making them want to know more about it, this book delivered. It could not have delivered any better. Like there's no way that you can't care about what's happening in this book.
Yeah.
We're almost to like these pages, like this is like towards the end of where we're reviewing it for today. But it's like there's so much tension. And it's like as this part goes on, and I don't want to just hurdle to the finish just because there's so much that needs to be addressed. Like, and just like that, you're back in the real world. Like you're back in the world of two police officers being in a house that they don't know where they are with somebody now with a rifle. What?
Exactly.
Like,
you know,
how was your day at work? And there's a kid.
And that's pretty much how, like you were saying, cops. Like it's like, okay, you have a cop who's like witnessed a crime scene, but now the killer is like near really close to where he or she was spotted. So it's like now I have to snap pretty much out of like being sad, and I got to focus on my job and bringing in this person. So yeah, it's just a really nice transition to really show like this, like the horror, and then to like, okay, now we got to take our job seriously and do what we're paid to do. So yeah, pretty cool.
And this guy who's in this house definitely is I don't know if this is he's flown over the cuckoo's nest. He's all the way there. And it's a very unpredictable moment in this house. You know, he's talking about hearing snakes hissing. He's got a rifle. And you can tell like the artwork for this man. As you're scrolling through these pages, the artwork for this man is different than the artwork for everybody else. And it kind of captures that unsettledness that this guy has. He's just as finished as the other characters. And I hope that doesn't sound like that's what I'm saying. But his edges are almost a little bit more frayed. Like he's a little bit more unsettled in the way that he's drawn. It's a little bit faster. Like he feels a little bit more unpredictable. And it comes across.
Yeah, and like you could tell the guy's like something's up with the guy because the guy's like in the room with the shotgun and the guy's naked.
He has
it's like, you know, what
clothes.
Exactly.
He has one more gun than he has clothes.
Exactly.
And
one more gun. Yeah. That's funny.
But no, it's just you're just wait like the sound of this. This is the last thing I want to say, Ronnie. The sound of this hissing behind him is so indicative of this guy being like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Like this is his fuse and it's smoky. And this is his fuse and it's just ticking out of time. And he is accepting of whatever is getting ready to happen.
But the facial expression of this man pretty much at this point has gone completely insane. Really great shots. I love that.
Is elsewhere.
I mean, just as an artist perspective, I mean, look at how great those eyes look.
Yeah, man.
Those are like, great eyes. It's like, you know, he has the whole face, but it's like when they say that eyes are like the windows to the soul, you could literally tell by looking at those eyes that he has gone completely crazy at this point. So good job, Gary, for like capturing like he had lost his mind completely at this point.
It's
so.
The pupils. It's those
Exactly.
teeny pupils and those that blown out color. It's just like this guy. And also a lot of my faces as an artist look similar, but Gary's cars look different, and all three of the men so far have looked entire. The little kid is going to look different. This little kid. These three men's faces all have distinctive features. So it's another thing that just you wouldn't notice it unless it wasn't there, but you appreciate it if it's there. It's just one more thing to keep your eye on the page. Like this is pro grade. Like this is that pro grade of like textbook comic book technique.
Oh yeah.
Mixed with my story is good enough to where I can do anything I want, and it is good enough to read. So it's like it's all there, and it's all valuable.
And this is just great. Like I'm happy that I decide to like message you to do this show, because not just to build a friendship and to build something great, but we started off with like public domain comics, and now a lot of our horror comics are just other indie creators that we're building friendships and just getting a chance to like look at their stuff. It's great. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, man, it really is. Like good things deserve the attention. Like they deserve and people are always going to say, oh, this person is just saying this because of this, or this person is just saying this because of that. And like we all do this, like we all want to do a comic book if we haven't done a comic book yet. And so no, it's like we all know what it takes to do it. And once you want to take that next step up, we all know the time that goes into creating something, let alone doing both sides of it, writing and drawing, and the research that you have to do from both angles. So
I appreciate that, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. Much appreciated, man. But no, it's like this is great work. Like Uzumaki was like when we started this, that was like my inspiration. Not only to like really say maybe I want to tell a scary story, but also like black and white is really, really good. And I went on to work with Aaron, and it's like his black and white work is fantastic. But I can easily see like this book being the reason that somebody wants to do this kind of story. Like that's been like I can see like the things that I look for like to inspire. Like this hits it all. Like there will be things that I do because I loved how it worked in this book. It won't be copying, but like there are techniques that I'm taking notes on because I want to tell a good story too. So
that's the beauty of horror. It's like horror has so many subgenres to it that you could have so many stories that are in the same field.
Yep.
But
I'm going to. I'm glad I said it out loud, but no, I'm definitely always trying to take notes, and I'm always looking for things to sharpen my skills up against. And like this is one of the things. Look at that Count Chocula box in the corner there, like
right.
All now, the things
you definitely know that's old school because you could only get Count Chocolate now around Halloween. When I remember as a kid, I could get it all year, all the time. Like it could be like summertime, springtime. I could go in the store and buy it, but now I have to wait. And it offers a free T-shirt. Man, cereal boxes don't give you nothing free anymore. You got to do a coupon and wait for it to get in the mail.
But also notice that if they had walked in this house through the kitchen, they would have known that the little boy was in this house because of the Count Chocula box. So it's like this house exists in 3 dimensions. Like this is proof. Like how can you say that this house exists? Okay, let me tell you how. It's built the same way in either side. I know that there are
and
cues on either side of this house to tell me what I'm walking into.
and also good job, because me and you we're not old, but we're not young either. I could definitely tell that's like a Count Chocula. That's not like design today's. Like that's like a 1970s, 80s
Yeah,
style of Count Chocula.
if there was a Count Chocula box in '75,
It
this
looks like that. Hmm. So
research,
yeah, that's just me.
research.
Just like
Hold on,
when
guys.
we did,
Sorry, my dog
just
was
like we,
trying to
not a problem.
be evil Knievel and jump off the couch, and he's not prepared for that life yet.
Just like we did Scott Serkland's video, and we talked about some of the nostalgic like 80s vibes, I could see like some of the 70s vibes there, So that's awesome.
Yep. It's all good. Like there's hard work in this book, and like there's a lot of this panel has got a lot of movement in it.
This panel coming up before we show the image, I love the sound effect.
Yes,
it's a pretty.
Hear. Yep.
Yeah.
You hear that lightning bolt. You hear that hum with that. There's just a very sharp Z sound. That's the only way I really know how to describe it. But I know exactly what I hear when I see
that's an awesome. That's an awesome ray, and not just that, but besides seeing the blood splatter, you actually see the gun shattering into pieces. That's what's awesome there. That's an awesome shot. That's like a shot like, me and you talk about a lot of times shots that you would want as a poster on your wall. That's definitely one of the shots right there that I want on my wall in a frame, because that's just a beautiful image right there.
It's just an awesome image. And it's two colors, but this takes time. Like there's time in all of this. And like you can go and get like DC Comics, and I love DC Comics today. I'm sure that there are Marvel books that I would really, really enjoy too, but to know to know the work that you have to do to self-publish a book, the amount of time, like, and to see like the amount of time that has gone into each page is another value point. Like, this is like all going right back to the creator, and that's the way it should be. Like, because he didn't these are like time-taking pictures. Like the same things that we noticed in a lot of those Junji Ito pictures that we really, really liked, of like, think about how much time this black and white will take. Exists right with these stories. It exists right with all of this. Some of these pages are just like identifiable gun parts with like are not necessary with this page, but they're there for that same reason. Like,
basically you could tell like the blood splatter is more like a oval, while the gun parts are more like rigided and like ununiform shape. So and sometimes sometimes it is harder to draw in black and white because you don't have the big color palette to work with. So you have to try to like figure a way to, describe an image and, in that, like I said. So awesome. Yeah.
Very, very good. Very good page. Like another very good page. Like, but this
and
book
now the page we're going to leave it on until we come back after Christmas and do New Year's Eve. Amazing alien shots. I love the alien designs. You have like the traditional like alien head, but then you got like the whole hand and everything. It's like really great.
The awesome. Facial expression,
and I love
on this. The facial expression on this lower panel, where the guy's firing the gun, I love. Like, if you go just scroll down just a tiny bit to the next next panel, like,
oh yeah, that image right there, yeah.
This is this would be enough to make me, without any knowledge about what this book was about, I would say, yep, that's a book that I'm in the target audience of 100%. Like, I would explore that for this image alone, and I would probably try to find a way to like get that. Like, if that was like and again, if that was a piece of art, that would be a cool picture. Like, I love the black and white technique that was chosen for the story. I think it works so well because the story is very abstract and it flows very, very good with such stark, like a black and white world where aliens exist. Like, that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
There is really no black and white world where aliens exist.
And I love the other aliens space outfit. I mean, it's just fun when you do a space comic because you could think so much out of the box when it comes to designing the outfits, because it's like, okay, you got a suit. We all know what a suit looks like, but a space outfit from an alien from a different planet, you could have it designed in so many ways and have it. Yeah, it's just, you could do so much with your imagination. So I always love to see, different takes on a traditional alien spacesuit. So,
yeah. And
awesome
Gary,
stuff.
like, your aliens are scary, like, which is good, like, which is what you wanted. But like, your aliens would be like, I would not be like, oh, hello, let me play a tune on a piano to see if I can communicate with you. I'd be like, nope, like, these aliens are not.
I'll be right there. It's like, well, I'm not going to, so bye.
yeah. These are conquering aliens. These are not like coexistence aliens. So
right.
Just it captures that 70s style, like with the design. Like, this is what you would have seen from a movie in the 70s from the aliens, but this is done differently. Like, this guy, like Gary Hodges, would have been like a name for like sci-fi horror in the 70s. Like, it would have been like, these are the movies that you would want to see because his designs, like, for the characters look good and his aliens are very easy to invest in. Like, this is what you want. Like, this is the book you want to read, guys. Like, these are the types of books that I really, really like. Yeah, like, I'm glad I'm glad these are the people that I get to learn from. Like, I'm glad these are the people that I get to share things with.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been an hour, folks. Like I said, in the description has his Instagram, his Facebook, his YouTube, and afterwards I'm gonna edit to put his Etsy in there so you could buy his books. And just, I hope everyone has a great Christmas. We'll see you on New Year's. Stay awesome, everyone. Bye.
Take care, guys.